All right, what's going on, everyone? We are back at it for the 11th After Hours live stream on the channel. It's probably a bit more than that, but this is the 11th official one, I guess I should say. What is going on with my hair? What is this? What is that doing? Anyway, yeah, if the stream needs to be fixed, if I am too loud, if I am too quiet, I would like for you to inform me of that as soon as possible. That would definitely take the edge off of those just now showing up, and everyone wants to point out that audio is an issue. I don't blame you, so I want to get that out of the way as soon as possible. And let's see here. I'm going to pull up the event. I'm going to make sure that I can see your chats as they roll in here. Here we go. Okay, sorry about any feedback you might have just heard there. What's going on, everyone? This is just another kind of sketchy live stream setup here. I like to keep things simple. I tried at one point using a capture card and an official, I have an extra mirrorless camera that I used at first to get the picture nice and crispy. But I just don't think that that's really what I don't know. I think you guys come here to have your questions answered. I don't think you come here for the sexy primary role, or the A role, whatever you want to call it. So this is more or less just me kind of being down to earth, just getting dirty with you guys and some simple stuff, simple and personal. And that's kind of the point of the live stream. It says After Hours number 10. Probably should have changed that. Let me go ahead and change that right now. 11. That's much better. Okay. And let's go back to the view page. That's what I'm talking about. All right, sorry about that weird title there. Okay, my dudes and dudettes. I'm sure primarily dudes. This guy here, Adam, says I'm rocking 1440p at 120 Hz, no problem with a 1060. That's impressive. I wonder what your in-game settings are, though, and what CPU you have that paired with. Dux UPSB, hello, new to the channel. Can you submit Craigslist ads, and if so, where? You can do so, Dux, you can do that on Twitter if you'd like. You can do it via our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/ScienceStudioYT, twitter.com/ScienceStudioYT. I don't recommend trying to personally contact me via Instagram because I don't use it for anything other than posting photos, obviously. So I would stick to Twitter and Facebook. I don't recommend you email me because a lot of those get filtered out anyway. If you send it and it doesn't look like a business inquiry, our system automatically throws it to either the spam or a separate folder that we set up for things that aren't business inquiries that we still typically go to, but every now and then I forget to look through it. So if you have something like that you'd like to submit, you can do it on Twitch. You can follow me down below. The links are in the video description. Yeah, again, Facebook and Twitter are the best ways to do that. Victorous22, think of that, $10 New Zealand, whatever that equates to in the US, doesn't matter. I appreciate your super chat there. Hey, Greg, as I stated 2 days ago, car written off, Audi. Have got a call from insurance today. It is a write-off. Found a 2012 Audi S6 that I will be buying tonight with the twin-turbo V8. My dude. All right, so I've done some serious research into the S6s because I love those engines. The 4.0 twin turbos, those are some killer specs. I know it sounds like I'm talking about computers right now, but I love the sound of it. I've yet to drive one. My dad has a 5.2 R8. I'm pretty sure with this a simple ECU flash, the S6 is faster than that V10. So the only thing I wish that the S6 was a coupe. I don't like the fact that it's a sedan. It's a classy sedan, I'll give it that. But at the same time, once you drive a coupe, and people look at coupes and they're like, okay, they're a little sportier than the sedans. The sedans, it's a sleeper basically, is what the S6 is. It doesn't look necessarily like a super fast car, as fast as it is anyway, despite the having the quad tailpipe. So that's the only reason why I haven't actually given it some serious thought into buying one, although I have done my research into the car in particular because it looks mean. If you buy it, ECU flash the thing. Go with APR, somebody reputable, and I think you're going to love it. Yeah, he says drove it yesterday. It is fast. Oh, yeah. And I want to say, just for the record, you guys, I don't know if you know, I drive an Audi S5, and my S5 is a 4.2 liter V8. It's just a naturally aspirated V8. It's very similar to the one found in the RS4, but the RS4 from around that era, actually a little earlier than my year, that car is, the engine's better in the RS4 because it just revs higher. It's got more horsepower. I'm pretty sure it's got like 420 horsepower. Mine's got about 354, and that's factory, so it's probably less than that now. But those things have all the nice features you want in an older V8, right? That still sounds really good, has really high, insane revs, and again, RS4, that's a sedan, so that's the only reason why I never gave that one serious thought either. But these V8s they're just tanks. I mean, mine's been driving just fine. The older V8s and the older V6s, you know, all these engines have the timing chains at the back against the firewall, so if anything, any of those little plastic guide snaps, right, or just wears down, then that's going to be an engine out process, right? You got to take the engine and the transmission out, then you got to pull the transmission off the block, and then you got to pull the covers off the back of the block to get to those chains, more specifically the grooves, the guides that keep the chains in place. Of course, when those guides break, you just got a serious mistiming issue. Your cylinders won't open when they should or close when they should. That's a big no-no for your engine. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why, you know, a lot of people when I first bought the car were like, oh, it's not a good idea, right? It's an Audi, not sure if you should do that. But mine's been great up to now, knocking on wood. But you know, I really enjoy driving it with the exhaust kit. It's just a beast. I get people all the time looking at them. I tell them, dude, it's like a $20,000 car. You know, it's cheaper than a Camaro or a Mustang of the same caliber, right? But people are really blown away by how cheap the car is. And that's something I kind of take pride in. I'm like, yeah, I found this little gem here. I think it's a really good price. If it breaks, it's going to suck. Yeah, for sure. I'm kind of gambling on that there, but it's a great drive. It really is. Mark Weavers, thank you for that 5. Is that pounds? That is 5 pounds. Why do you call the PCIe power cables from the PSU to graphics card VGA cables? I just call them VGA cables because traditionally, right, you have VGA ports, a VGA card, just a video card. So when I say VGA cables, usually what I say is supplemental VGA power connectors, like I said in the last video. That's my official quote, not what you said there. VGA cables, that's kind of vague, but it's supplemental power, right? So you have up to 75 watts on paper coming through the PCIe slot, and then if you need supplemental power, I just call it supplemental VGA power because it used to be a VGA card. They're not anymore, and I don't know anybody who uses VGA unless you're using a card that's extremely old or using a converter, because new cards don't even support VGA. Okay, scrolling down. I'm gonna get to you again. I see the donation there. All right, so they call me X. I have a question. What air cooler would you recommend to go with an i7 4770K, because my stock cooler mounts are cracking? Ooh, you're using a stock cooler with that 4770K? Ouch. I would say, my dude, it depends. You know, for Haswell i7, you could probably get by with a CryoRig H7, CryoRig C1. Yeah, if you want to go with Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro 3 or 4, or a Top Flow. If you want to go with Cooler Master, Hyper 212 Evo is still plenty. It's kind of the benchmark right now. It has been for the longest time, and for good reason. It's very cheap as well. Those are the 3 or 4 models that I would recommend you check out for that there. Scrolling down here, I see you guys. Prince of Zhang says, longest paper ever written, words only, no diagrams or pictures included. Okay, so I had a paper. Actually, it was my first year. This wasn't even an engineering school. This was my first year in business school. So this was back when I was like 19. I wrote a really killer paper on, I think it was, I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure it was on Black Friday, the traditional Black Friday. This was economics class. So it was the run on the gold, on the markets, right, with people who were, basically it was just arbitrage, right? You were exchanging gold and silver and other precious metals between countries where it was often cheaper to do so, and then they would make money simply by trading, you know, the currency in foreign markets. That was basically what the essence of the paper was why the stock market crashed back then, was because people were over speculating, and they were being very, very vicious with their buying and selling habits. Arbitrage is a word that actually I've just now started using ever since I took one of my recent finance classes for my MBA, and it's actually something that technically doesn't exist in a perfect market, but every now and then you have a small window of opportunity where it would be cheaper to invest in a foreign market or sell it in a foreign market versus here. You can also do that with interest rates, right? So if you want to think about like interest rates being cheaper there, or you want to buy a bond there and sell it here, that's all arbitrage. And usually it's only very temporary because the market self-corrects. And when people catch on to that, they tend to exit. Okay, Victorous again. My dude, you can just you're a Patreon supporter. You can just comment in the Discord. I have it pulled up. Actually, it's minimized now, but I'm going to pull it up again. So if anybody watching the stream is on Discord, I have it up now if you would like to ask your questions there. You guys are you're already supporting the channel financially. You don't need a super chat to get the to get your questions answered. And I'm sorry it has to be like this for everyone else watching. There's a lot of questions. I'm trying to get through as many as I can. I don't want to feel like I'm leaving out the people who are going above and beyond to support us financially. When did cars beyond $5,000 become cheap? I say cheap because it's a relative word, right? Cheap cheap is subjective anyway, but you can use cheap in an accurate sense by relating one product to another from a price perspective. So you have two houses that are 3,000 square feet apiece. They have the same, amenities, everything else, same size plot of land, and one of them's $250 and the other one's $450. The one that's $250 is cheap. $250K is not a cheap price, right? That's a lot of money. People usually can't pay in cash. That's why you finance. But it's cheap, relatively speaking. So that's all. Don't break my balls over my use of cheap, but that's why I use it. Emmerich says, are you a gatekeeper? Okay, I am going to scroll up one more time here. Don't want to miss. Kenny D, what's going on, Kenny D? Thank you for that $5 super chat. Which motherboard brand do you prefer? MSI, Asus, Gigabyte, etc.? Look, honestly, I think unless a board is clearly a better overclocker, which is usually, the top tier Z370, X470 boards are going to all kind of overclock about the same unless there's a serious manufacturing flaw with the board or a model. I think that Asus boards probably look the best. I think MSI has a niche because MSI is one of the few manufacturers that still has white PCB boards, which is a really cool thing. I think Gigabyte boards are great values. I haven't used an ASRock board in a long time because they keep switching people, and I hate dealing with new people because then they're like, oh, well, who are you? Oh, okay, we want this, this, and this now. We want you to give us a full dedicated video on the motherboard now instead of just featuring it in a build video. And motherboard reviews are already difficult enough. But then when you want a review for every single motherboard you're going to send me, sorry, I'll go on to somebody else who is not going to be as stringent on that. So that's why I haven't worked with ASRock in a while. But Gigabyte, MSI, and Asus all have their advantages, and you can usually find one or two of them cheaper than the others, and that's usually the one I go for. I'm not brand loyal in any way. Okay, Rusty Shackleford Greg, I couldn't find the video about it, but with regards to die scaling, are we ever going to have a chance to use graphene as the next big advancement in silicon? I read a little bit about this. I haven't done a dedicated video on graphene. That's probably why you haven't seen it on the channel. But graphene, like carbon, I have to go back and remember what I'm trying to talk about here. But when I was talking about in one of my, how small can we get, right, with the transistor, the FinFET and whatnot, I was talking about how we have the effect of quantum tunneling, right, past a certain point because the threshold is so small, the gap is so narrow that electrons basically tunnel when they're not supposed to. So the electron the transistor is technically open all the time, which makes it not a transistor. So that's one of the big challenges we imagine we would have around 5 nanometers, but we always find ways to improve it, right? I mean, I think IBM has like a 4 or 5 nanometer CPU, like a fully functioning CPU. Of course, it's on the DL, and since it's not going to be a consumer grade chip anytime soon, but we've found ways around it. So that's one of the things that I talked about in that video, but I didn't touch on other technologies to get around that. So I'm looking at myself right now, and I'm doing some weird things with my hands. I apologize. But yeah, that's an interesting topic. It really is. Aaron Leopold? Yeah, that's probably what it is. Sorry. Aaron Leopold says, I noticed in one of your videos you were using a Viatec curved monitor and was wondering what your opinion was on it. I have a dedicated video on it, Aaron. Type in Viatec curved monitor Science Studio. Go ahead and check out that review video. It will answer your questions, I imagine. Okay. All right. Keelier? Y'all's names, Jesus. What would you pick, i5 8400 or Ryzen 5 2600X? I'm only using it for gaming. In my testing, the i5 8400 still somehow manages an edge in most games. It's not a substantial edge. I would say if you expect to only game ever, then maybe the i5 is a thing. It's going to be really tough to recommend the i5, though, in general over the R5 2600X, which is a great all-around CPU for the price. So I have to stick to my guns, though. Strictly gaming, the i5's better, so objectively I would go with the i5 strictly for gaming. Jarrett Cook says, what's it like being human? Let me tell you, my friend, it is an adventure. And it's sometimes a stressful adventure, sometimes it's a very fun adventure, but it's an adventure nonetheless, and I make the most of it. I hope that you all do as well. Okay, someone asked if I speak Spanish. Sorry, I didn't see the name. Okay, that's Ren Klon. Do you speak Spanish? I assume I should be able to. Unfortunately, I am not I'm not fluent in Spanish. So I kind of am like one of those like quasi, because I'm a Hispanic, right? I'm 50% Spanish, so technically, like on my official documents, I'm Hispanic despite being of the white race. It's kind of weird how like when you go to fill out your ethnicity and your race, there's all the different races, right? There's white, black, Asian Pacific, you name it. Any of those races is on there, and then you have a separate category just for ethnicity, and then it will say, "Are you Hispanic/Latino?" And I guess that's just something that goes on in the States. I don't know if anyone in Europe asked that question, if they, separate ethnicity from race, but it's the only ethnicity they ever put on forms is Hispanic Latino, like it's the only one that matters or something. So I proudly slap that thing on there just because I'm going to milk my 50%, but it's not something I've really like grown up with. I never grew up speaking Spanish in the home, so that's kind of why I never learned. I took it in high school, but I'd say at this point I probably speak almost as much of German as I do Spanish, and I've been trying to teach myself German because of Lisa and her family. I want to be able to talk to her family personally without Lisa having to translate everything I want to say to her mom and dad. So hopefully I'll be more fluent in German soon than I am in Spanish if I'm not already. I see another one here. Scrolling. Okay. Bazinga X, thank you for that $5 super chat, my dude. Could one D5 pump handle 4 480 rads, a motherboard, CPU block, and 2 GPUs? D5 pumps are super powerful, dude. Like, I could imagine. I know you see a lot of, like, when you have overkill custom loops like that, you'll see people using 2 reservoirs. Usually that's just because they either want to fill up the extra space or they want to run 2 different colors of coolant, to give it just a bit of a wow factor on top of what you would already have with a custom loop. When you turn a D5 pump up to its max RPM, that thing chugs. And one of my pumps in actually the winter build version 2, that pump is locked to max speed, and it's annoying because it's loud, but it pushes fluid. So I would probably go out and say that it's okay. I would build a system with just one D5 pump, assuming that would be fine. Going through those rads is going to be pretty tough because those rads have tiny little channels that the fluid has to push through, and that builds up resistance, fluid pressure. But I think the D5 pump can handle it. I would Google it. Just look at other people who have tried to do it. I'm sure there have been people out there just to double check. Do your due diligence, because I haven't actually personally tested that. But in my experience, I would say it's probably enough. Somebody else would probably know the answer to that better than I would, though. Okay, Trojan Gaming. Hey, Greg, can you play Minesweeper on stream? Do we even have Minesweeper on Windows 10? I don't think we do. Oh, no, wait. Do we? No, we don't have Minesweeper. That's a disappointing. When it used to be a thing, like it came standard, that was something I looked forward to so much with XP. But, oh well. There's Pop Nim Pop with that $1.99 donation again, saying, benchmark on ABC mouse, please. Which, look up ABC mouse if you haven't already. It's one of those kiddie games, which I imagine would run at 5,000 FPS on a system like this. But, I don't know where he gets sick kicks. I appreciate the donation, mate. I probably won't ever officially benchmark with something as rudimentary as ABC mouse. I'm sorry, I hate to disappoint. Pop and pop. Elijah Stricker, hey Greg, I'm putting my build in an S340 Elite. Good choice, my friend. Do you think I should replace the stock fans or should hold on to them for intake? Buying two 120 AE or RGB fans. Okay, so I think the S340 Elite, I'm trying to remember what came in out of the box. I'm pretty sure there's one fan at the rear, and I think there's one more fan up front. I think they're both 120 mil fans. So what you could do if you wanted, Elijah, is I would put the two 120 mil fans at the front, right? Because if you're going to have those intake, then the AER RGB rings are going to be on the outside. So it would do you no good to put those at the front. So I would let the two stock fans that are included with the S340, they're not too bad. I would let those intake, and then I would put one AER fan up top, and then one AER fan at the rear to exhaust. So you have two exhaust, two intake, and both of those RGB rings on those fans will shine into the case, which is ultimately what you're going for. So I would keep those two other fans, it wouldn't hurt anyway, just in case in the future, and let those be the intake fans, because you're not going to see the colors of the AER fans if you put those up front and have them intake, because they're only one-sided AER fans. Geared Inc. What's going on, dude? Watched your channel for years. Just hit 10K on my channel. Thanks for all you do and being so thorough in your reviews. Any advice is welcome. Thanks, my dude. I have a couple videos that would help you out for sure. I hope, anyway. I try to upload at least 1 or 2 videos every month or so, you know, tied into what I do as a YouTuber, the kind of decisions that I made to get to where I am, the challenges that I currently face, right? So I would say I have a couple videos about like the gear that I use, how I receive samples from companies, how long it took to do all that, how I manage all those, how I manage sponsorships and ads and whatnot. Those videos would be really helpful for you, I think. So give those a watch if you haven't already, and I'll be sure to keep uploading those, so stay tuned. But thank you for your super chat, I appreciate it. Scrolling down, Caden P, when do new GPUs come out? No idea, but I imagine it's going to be sometime within the next month or so from NVIDIA anyway. NVIDIA tends to release their new architecture or debut their new architecture around Computex. So Computex is early June. That's just a heads up. Probably going to be sometime around then. I don't have personal connections with NVIDIA, so I don't know for sure. Fords, what's up? When are you going to do a Doug DeMuro style PC review? Honestly, the guy he's got a really good thing going for him. I would be I would actually love to do a parody. That's actually a really good idea. I might have to write that one down. I would really like to imitate Doug DeMuro and review PC instead. I love Doug. I love his car reviews. The guy, you know, he knows cars. He's reviewed enough of them to know exactly what what you should look for in a car. Reliability. He writes a lot of vlogs, blogs with a B, and yeah. I mean, I would say in a way he's kind of like one of my role models because he just got so big so fast, and there's so much to learn from a channel that does something like that. It's very difficult to do, especially now on YouTube. And he set himself apart by his quirky personality, and but he still manages to get the points across, right? The things that people want to know about the car. So maybe I could do something like that with PCs. Not sure if it'll work, but worth a shot. Okay, Tyler Yacarino, do you still use the MacBook? Yes, I do. Sitting in the other room right now charging. Bill Edwards asked if I supercharged that S5 yet. The answer is no, because I don't want to blow my transmission, and I'm pretty sure the amount of torque I'm going to be getting from that engine with the supercharger on top of it, with a stock R-tronic transmission, is not going to be, it's going to be too much, I imagine. Or if anything, the transmission would be able to handle it, right? They have Audi R8s that are using the same transmission, but that much torque, that's the thing, right? So you have let's just put it this way. The R-tronic transmission, right, was used up until 2012, I believe, in most Audi models. The Audi R8, let's say, which is probably one of the fastest cars using the R-tronic transmission up to that date, had a 4.2-liter V8 that pushed around 450-ish horsepower. But the torque on the R8 is actually a lot lower than the horsepower. And so what you want to really look for when you're worrying about whether your transmission can handle the amount of power that your engine is producing is actually not focusing on the horsepower itself, which is more upper end stuff. That's like, high RPM. The torque is the low end stuff. That's the stuff that puts you back into your seat. And that will definitely chew through transmissions quicker than any, high horsepower car will. So I'm just worried about the longevity of the transmission if I did something like that. On top of that, it's freaking expensive, so maybe at some point I'll do something crazy like that to a new car, but I won't do it to the S5. I don't want to make things, I don't want to mess things up. Okay, your thoughts on the ZTE 7-year ban? I don't know anything about that. I'm gonna have to look through that. That's interesting. Maybe a dedicated video on that. I'll do some research and we'll see what went on. Samuel Messersmith. Any recommendations for water cooling my 1070 FE in an ITX case? I can fit one 120mm rad. You're going to have to buy probably, again, that 120mm rad, and then get yourself a really small, slim reservoir with an integrated pump. It might have to be a DDC pump because those are a little smaller than D5s. And you have that mounted directly to the radiator, so it just sits right there, and then you can have your hardline tubes drop straight down, right, into the graphics card. So that could be a way that you could do it. It'd be a really small loop. Not sure if you want to do it that way. But that's probably all you could do unless you wanted to add more rads or just make your bends go everywhere for no reason. We have a new sponsor on the channel. Thank you, Mr. KF Gaming with a capital G. I appreciate that. You guys, if you are unfamiliar what a sponsor is, it's essentially what a subscriber is on Twitch. Not what a subscriber is on YouTube. YouTube's been using the subscription button for a totally different purpose for several years. I have a video actually coming out on this to talk about what the sponsor button specifically does. It'll come out, I think, early this week. So stay tuned if you want to know more about it. But in general, what you do if you become a sponsor, similar to how Twitch works, except Twitch takes like a 50% commission unless you're a really hot shot, and then I think they take 40%. But if you sponsor, then you pay $4.99 a month. It's not you can renew it if you want, but it's not like a set in stone thing for a year. It's just per month if you want to handle it that way. $4.99, and then what you get from that is you get added perks in the chats. So I'm pretty sure what you'll see, let's see, Trucker Bomb became a sponsor. Thank you, Trucker Bomb. Even though you're already a Patreon supporter, you don't need to do both. But that's really cool. I appreciate it. The creators from YouTube sponsors get a 70% cut. So we get about $3.50 from that $4.99, which I love that. It's $3.50. I don't like the fact that YouTube still scrapes 30%, but it is a smaller cut than what Twitch takes. So that's YouTube's way of kind of nudging Twitch here, being like, we did you one better. But Twitch is still dominating the live streaming space. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. So if you are a subscriber or a sponsor, excuse me, I'm getting so confused. If you're a sponsor, which is again different than a YouTube subscriber, then comment in the chat box, because you're gonna have a special little badge. You should have a special badge, and we can change these badges if you guys vote on them later. We get more people around. Yeah, check that out. All right, so you see Mr. KF Gaming here. I know it's gonna be a little delayed. Scroll up just a little bit. You'll see Mr. KF Gaming, and he's got this little battery next to his name. Trucker Bomb has it too. He's just below Mr. KF Gaming. So that battery there it's basically like, picture an iPhone battery or any kind of smartphone animated battery. And if you renew your sponsorship, if you renew your sponsorship after 1 month, so if you're a 2-time sponsor, then your battery level increases. So it turns yellow and it gets a little higher. And then if you're a 3-month or 4-month, it keeps going up. I think it maxes out at like 6 months. But then it's a fully charged green battery, so there's like 4 or 5 bars there. I thought it was something a little unique, But it sets you guys apart in the chat. So yeah, a dead battery. I know that's not what you guys at least have a battery. You're powered. That's what I want you to think about. If it's not catching on, we can change it. But I just thought it would look cool, especially when you have like, give it a chance, right? Because 2 or 3 months from now, you might have a lot of people who are still on the red battery, but you guys are going to have, if you keep sponsoring, you're going to have like the yellow or the green battery. So you're going to be the seniors, right? I don't know. I just think it's going to be something interesting to just kind of see play out in the future. Anyway. Yeah, so Quickshot Gaming says gaming channels have had sponsorships for a while, and that makes sense, right? Because gaming channels typically live stream, and you get an added benefit in live streams when you sponsor, because you again get that icon always showing up next to your name. I'm pretty sure it also translates over to comment sections as well. I will have to see, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. It's so cool seeing Trucker Bomb with it's so cool seeing you guys with the icon, just like actually in real life. Anyway. We have like 15% battery. Everyone else needs a battery replacement. Yeah, look at it like that. That's a good way to look at it. Oh gosh, but I appreciate you guys. I really appreciate the sponsorships. That's really cool. And Trucker Bomb, I don't know if Mr. KF Gaming is a Patreon supporter, but if you're gonna sponsor me, I don't recommend you support us on Patreon either, unless you want the tier 3 perks, because you're basically paying the same amount for access to the private Discord and whatnot. So you don't have to do that, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Okay, that's what I'm looking at here. Pop keeps asking about the ABC mouse. I do not play ABC mouse. Full battery, the cell won't hold a full charge anymore. Jack's fan Rick. I was watching a live stream of Mark Dice the other day, and he had to get over 2K from donations. They was coming in like crazy. That's insane. I mean, yeah, there are streamers out there. You guys know the big hot shots, especially on Twitch. They're making bank every single time they click the go live button. They're just rolling in the dough. So, good on them, right? They've built empires basically. David Hunter, I see you. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. It says love your channel. Scrolling down here. Okay, yeah, Quickshot says he doesn't notice the comments being different, but I only have a couple. Yeah, same. I mean, we just started it too, so we'll have to see. But Trucker Bomb, Mr. KF Gaming, if you guys don't mind, once this thing posts, if you're still awake, comment in the comment section so we can test it out, so we can see if your badges also show up in the description or in the comment section. Also, I haven't made emojis yet, but you guys would normally have access to emojis, and they're going to be, of course, they're going to try to be unique, right, for Science Studio. So if you want to suggest a feature set of emojis, or you want to make your own for the channel, I invite you to do that. You can contact us directly on Discord now that you guys are our sponsors, and because you'll have access privately. So it'll be cool to see what you guys recommend. Beta on Discord. Beta 2017 asks, why haven't you been on Snapchat lately? Good question. I definitely should be pushing that a lot more, and I'm guilty of it, Beta. I really am, because that's something I put as like one of the things. Like you get to add me as a, add me privately on Snapchat. I just haven't gotten around to using it a lot because I haven't just used Snapchat personally in a long time. I figured this would be an excuse for me to get back into it. I got to do it though. You guys are supporting financially. I gotta keep my word. And these monthly live streams that we're gonna do. That will be private for the guys who are willing to donate and support us financially are going to be starting up this month as well. So more details in the Discord server if you guys want to check that out. All right, I need more questions. More questions. More questions, please. What am I looking at here? All right, I see someone. The channel name, Jacob, did not change. I mean, this is the original channel name. So it was Salazar Studio for a brief period of time, and then I changed it back to what it should be. Okay, cool. So Trucker Bomb confirmed that if you are a sponsor, you also get that icon in the comment section, which is super cool. So that's like a permanent sticky, right? People are going to get to see that. Someone said roasted got flipped and toasted. I don't know if that was taken out of context or what. Bland Paloma, hey Greg, love the channel. Tons of info and comparison, especially with air coolers. I appreciate that, Bland. I actually have a dedicated rig. I told you guys this in one of those videos, specifically for air-cooled and AIO testing. So that all the I'm sure the other channels do this as well. I would hope that they would. I know that Gamers Nexus and Fielders try to keep everything as consistent as possible, which is good to see. But you want to keep all of your variables right in check. You don't want to change variables from test to test because then your benchmarks aren't going to correlate directly. And there's always going to be some variable that you can't control ultimately, room temperature maybe, something along those lines. But using the exact same rig, the same case, right? Because a lot of these are like open test benches, and testing an air cooler on an open test bench is not an official test because no one's going to run their PC on an open test bench. So I try to keep things as like traditional and as applicable as possible for you guys so you can relate to it. Okay. Okay. Scrolling back up here, I missed quite a number of questions. Hoveen Jower, how you prepare for final exams? I actually tend to cram. I don't want to say I data dump. I retain quite a bit, but I don't think that I retain as much as I probably should. I got to go back and read a lot, especially after months of not touching the topic. But I usually focus on studying for an exam 2 days before, and I devote 2 solid days just to studying. So my brain is only thinking about the exam, and then when I finally take the exam, my brain is still wired to thinking that way, so it's easier for me to recall. That's how I do it. So I see here, Not Happy, that's his name. He says, at Science Studio, my Ryzen 2400G gets green screens all the time. Any ideas? Not Happy, I would check I can see why you named yourself Not Happy. I wouldn't be happy either. Check hardware monitor or hardware info. Check your CPU temps. Make sure that those are in check. If you manually overclocked at all, revert everything back to stock. Also check your RAM. You might be having some issues with RAM frequency, being that that's tied directly to the Infinity Fabric. And you might just have some kind of issue with software, right? With drivers conflicting with something inside the CPU, maybe like those Vega cores. So there's a lot that I would just troubleshoot right away, both software and hardware. But clear your CMOS, use stock BIOS settings. Don't even overclock your RAM or clock it to whatever the box frequency is. Keep it all stock. See if it still happens. If it does, then try uninstalling that driver, that video driver, and installing an older one. You can find those archived on many websites. Make sure it's not, packed with a virus or something. So that's what I would do in that situation. Excuse me. Mahi22, advice on what to look for when buying a wireless Wi-Fi adapter card for the motherboard. I can't find very much about it, and I'm building a PC at the end of the month. Thanks. Look, you can spend hundreds of dollars on super high-tech Wi-Fi cards. Ultimately, you're going to be limited more or less by your bandwidth from your router. I use really cheap, like $25 Wi-Fi cards, and these are PCIe-based Wi-Fi cards, right? So those plug in underneath my graphics card. 2 little antennae that stick up. It's basically plug and play with Windows 10, and I get basically my full bandwidth. Actually, sometimes I get more than that. From a wireless connection, as long as I'm in the same room or maybe one room over, I get 500 down, 50 up with my plan, and I'll get at least 500 up, because it's not actually an official cap. They don't actually cut you off right at 500. Sometimes it's a little higher or lower. Sometimes a lot lower, depending on what's going on with the ISP. Okay, I'm scrolling down here. Aaron Leopold asked what the Discord channel is. The Discord channel is, as of right now, it's reserved for just Patreon donors and sponsors on YouTube. I have often debated opening the Discord publicly, but then it would defeat the purpose for me, because I feel like a lot of people would try to ask me questions that I would never get to in the Discord. But this way, and it sounds kind of, I don't know, take it for what you will, but I'm going to just say it straight up. If it's pay to play, it minimizes the pool a lot, so I can focus one-on-one with people who are willing to financially support us, and then they actually feel like they're getting something for it. It helps the channel because sometimes we have terrible months. We don't make a lot of money at all on videos, depending on how YouTube prioritizes videos, who's ranking above us. Look, up next, Linus Tech Tips. There's another recommended video. Linus, I'm pretty sure Linus is like targeting our videos. You can rank, by the way, just by inserting links onto websites that nobody goes to. Google still sees in their algorithm that you've linked your video, or that your video is linked on a ton of websites that are basically on the DL, and will rank your video higher accordingly because it seems super popular on paper, right? That's in a nutshell what ranking is. But we don't do anything super active like that on most videos. Really, we've tried it on like 2 or 3 videos, and it's only worked probably once. So you can, it depends on how the month is going. But this is a separate option here for people if they want to support us this way. It just keeps things a little spread apart. Yeah, Patreon only. It sounds like I'm just all about money, and I don't want it to seem like that, even though the money definitely helps big time on some of those months. But it lets people who do pay feel like they're getting a little something extra. Okay. Samuel Olivares, can you use a CPU up 12 volt for a case fan? Okay, and if so, would it still work with PWM and that connector? It depends on the motherboard. I use CPU optional fan ports, fan hubs, whatever you want to call them, all the time. And yeah, for the most part, you can scale accordingly. Usually they're PWM supported. Sometimes they won't be. I would say in a few cases with modern boards they won't be. But most modern boards, especially on the higher end chipsets, are going to have full-on PWM support on any 4-pin fan hub, and most of those boards anyway should only have 4-pin fan connectors because PWM is a lot better than DC. So, yep, there's that one. Okay. Flyer SRR did not get email notification when you went live. That is YouTube in a nutshell for you, and I'm pretty sure it's hitting us pretty hard right now because we only have about 170 people watching. And again, this is going to sound really bad again, but I just objectively, we usually average around 300 or so people in the live stream, so we're running a little over half that right now. Something's going on, I would say. Sounds weird blaming YouTube, but I really think they have a big role in this. So sorry about that, but I am very happy that you stopped by anyway. Darren Healy, what job would you pursue if you were not doing YouTube? I have an engineering degree, and I have I'm going to have my master's in business in October. So, well, I'll be finished with the program in October. I'll graduate in December. But that basically kind of sets me up for really anything. I don't want to be limited by a degree, and I feel like having an engineering degree and a master's in business is kind of like that good combo, right? So I can go work at a grocery store as a manager, like I don't have to do anything with engineering per se because I have the financial business background too. Or I could just work full on in the engineering industry and make a little more money because I have that master's degree. So it's versatile. I don't have anything in mind particular that I would like to do, but as long as it paid well and as long as it came with good benefits, I would strongly consider it if YouTube was just not cutting it anymore. Okay, Techable, what cooler would you recommend for a beginner PC with an i3 or an i5, Hyper 212 Evo, Cryorig, H7, something like that? Alexander Padilla, hey Greg, what's going on, Alex? Scrolling to, I see you guys replying to each other. It's very cool. Y'all are helping each other out. Jason Azevedo, he says, I have an IQ of 130, but I suck at math. Here's a word about IQ tests. I took an IQ test when I was in third grade. I think it was third grade. And apparently you take one IQ test and that's like supposed to speak for your entire life, which I find hard to believe because your brain's still developing by the third grade. But anyway, I took one then. My IQ was like 136, I think. I'm not saying that to trump you. That was just what they told me it was. And that doesn't really, I don't think, say much at all about your intelligence. It's more or less about analyzing and identifying patterns. Like half the test was patterns. And what, identifying patterns is good and all. It's great for troubleshooting, let's say, but like it doesn't tell you anything about your ability to learn a new topic. So there are several factors that qualify as intelligence limiters or enablers, and I don't think that pattern recognition is like on the top of my list, let's say. TNT Thief asks how old I am. I am 23. Thank you for that all caps question. Zunrise at Science Studio, got the Air 740, the 3 stock fans, and 5 Corsair AF120s. Any 140mm fans you can recommend for the case? Lighting not necessary. I really love Silent Wings 3 fans. It's pretty much my go-to fan for anything silent, especially when I'm not worried about LEDs. They look pretty good too, right? They're all black. They're nice and sleek. A bit expensive, but they're some of the quietest fans out there. There's often a lot of debate between which ones are actually quieter, Noctua fans or Silent Wings 3 fans. Noctua fans typically have a higher pitch sound, which is a little harder to hear, which makes them a little quieter most of the time. Silent Wings 3 fans are usually a little deeper sounding, so they sound like bassier, and that makes them a little more detectable by the human ear in most cases, at least for me. But the differences are almost negligible. So TNT says I look 21. Well, that's like 2 years from 23, so I look my age. I guess that's what you mean. Halistine Jenkins, perhaps a little better. It's still a mystery. I think I read that out of context. I'm not sure. Adwait Kulkari asked, hey, does SCD key work all over the world or only a few countries? I'm not sure. You'll have to check. The website will tell you. But that is something you could ask their customer support, and they should get back to you pretty quick. Their customer support's usually pretty quick at responding. I skipped it. Mahi22 again. I have one more question. What is a few places you would recommend looking at to buy parts for building a PC other than Amazon? Newegg's a great place if you're willing to buy used. I use eBay. I use Craigslist. I almost said NCIX. Don't do that. I almost said it though. I was like, wait, hold on. I'm trying to think. There are a couple other places. What you can do is go to PC Part Picker and just look at the retailers they list on their site. And usually those are going to be pretty reputable. You could go with like Jet.com. I've had friends buy stuff from Jet.com or Jet whatever. Jet, I forget what it's called, but Jet something. And there are sites like that as long as you read testimonials, people seem to be pretty straightforward with those things. It's not going to be difficult. Okay, scrolling down again here. I see you guys. Do you have any thoughts on the AMD Navi rumors? No, I don't, because I don't usually read rumors. I don't like reading information that is not verified, because then it might not be verified in the future, because then it might be proven wrong in the future, and then I gotta redo all my research again, and I just don't bother with it. Aditya Vats keeps asking about the Dell G7. I don't even know what that is, dude. I have no idea what the Dell G7 is. I suck at games. After receiving your master's, are you going to prioritize a workforce job or continue YouTube? Here's my biggest conflict, right? Because YouTube, on its good months, YouTube's enough. It's enough to have an okay living. I don't make a lot of money, especially after taxes. I really don't, you guys. And so this is more or less something I do because I enjoy it. It's enough to get me by, and right now with the way YouTube is prioritizing channels and recommendeds and all that stuff, it's difficult to even grow right now. So the outlook on YouTube is just pretty stagnant right now. I'm content with where I'm at, but at the same time I'm not, because I want to keep growing. And with a job, it's kind of the same way, right? With a job in the field, you're going to have a salary cap. You'll have a ceiling that you're going to hit inevitably. But with the job, you also get benefits. You get perks. You get retirement. You get things that you don't get with YouTube unless you go outside of the YouTube realm, right, to private companies or the government and try to source these things out. So there are perks to working with a company, and I've given that serious thought. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. But my options are open, and that was the goal. That was why I wanted degrees, because that kept my doors open. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just don't. Okay, scrolling down some more. I see you guys. Okay, the random commentor asks, if AMD never released their Ryzen CPUs, would the Intel Coffee Lake CPUs have 4 cores instead of 6? Interesting. We'd have to look far back enough. We'd have to look at when Intel decided to officially launch 6 cores in consumer-grade chips and see if that at all coincided with any Intel that might have leaked Intel. I mean, like, information that might have leaked from AMD side of things when it came to their production or potential production of Ryzen 6-core CPUs, mainstream CPUs. So I'm not sure. I would say it definitely had something to do with it. Just off the top of my head, I'm sure. It would be stupid if Intel didn't respond by doing that. Jokeek Ali, hey Science, so I'm building my first PC and my total budget is $1,700. That includes the PC, monitor, and peripherals. Do you have any suggestions on the build and monitor? Look, I can't really suggest full-on PCs for you. I don't really have the time, especially in live stream, I can't go through all that stuff specifically as a client. I can't do that. It takes too long. But in that price range, you're looking at around i5 territory. Get a 1070, 1080, 16 gigs of RAM, and then get a decent 1440p monitor for $300-400 that can overclock maybe to 120 hertz. There you go. Cam A, any tips for uploading BIOS, Windows, and overclocking on the computer after building? Cam A, I have videos of how to update BIOSes. Actually, a recent one with the Ryzen 2nd Gen and B350. Go look that video up. That's why it's up there. RFE. Oh wait, I missed it. I missed it. I'm sorry, I missed it. So many questions. Thank you for all the questions. Okay, Chad Pinelli. Hey Greg, planning to do a 2600 build and wanted to go with the Asus ROG Crosshair 7 Hero motherboard. Is it worth pairing with the 2600X or is it overkill? It's perfectly fine. Look, you get the added features anyway as an X470 chipset. I'm pretty sure that's an X470 board. Pretty sure all ROG boards are that are in that lineup. So yeah, it's not going to hurt at all. And you could probably squeak out maybe an extra 100 megahertz or so, but it's kind of difficult to tell. I would say you're fine with going with that. If you want to save money, you certainly could. B350s are still viable even for the 2600X. So it depends on what you prioritize. I think you're getting a better looking board in most cases with the X470 chipset anyway. So, and more features. Just something to think about. Okay. Post-apocalyptic Peter. What's going on, my dude? Thank you for that $10 super chat. Found your channel around Christmas. Great content. Now my favorite. I appreciate that. I want to build PCs. No channel. Just build. Wait for RAM to drop. Thinking $100 build cost. You mean $1,000 build cost? I'm confused. I see what you're saying. No, you want to build PCs. I get it as a business. So $100 build cost, right? So that's on top of the build cost, or on top of the parts. That basically is $100 labor. Make buyer get own Windows key. What do you think? I think getting your own Windows key, I think if you tell the buyer to get his own Windows key or her Windows key, I think that's a bit of a turnoff. Because what a lot of customers want, right, is just that one-time sale, that one-time purchase, and it's just plug and play, right? How would you feel if you bought a PS4 console and then you had to load the BIOS on the PS4, right? So it's an extra step that should have already been done in the shop. I recommend you source those Windows keys yourself. Plenty of places to get them. You can get them on eBay, you can get them on SCD Key, you can get them on Kingwin. Doesn't matter. We just did a video on SCD Key. Those work perfectly fine. So you could get them from any of those sites. And then still charge that $100 or so markup. I would say the way I do it is a 10% markup. I don't charge any more than 10% if I build a PC for a customer. And if I don't know the person, usually I just build it for free if I know the person. But if I'm willing to put the time and effort into it for the sake of just trying to turn a small profit, which is what 10% ultimately is, it's pretty small when seen in the context of most PC builds. you know, having the Windows key already in there, having Windows already installed, well, I don't know. I guess all you're really doing is having them enter the key. But I would just do that yourself, because then you just say, all right, here it is, ready to go, just plug and play. Simple as that. Even entering a key, not just installing the operating system, which I assume you're going to do, but entering the key to activate the software is just something that I think that the seller should do up front. So I'm not too sure how you feel about it, but that's what I would do. I would try to have the operating system already ready to go. Excuse me. Bran Hooping Garner, what a name. Question, looking for advice. Would I get more out of upgrading my cooler or motherboard for overclocking? Currently on a B350 with a Ryzen 1600 using stock cooler at 3.8 gigahertz. Excuse me. All right, so with the Ryzen 1600, you're pretty much going to be close to maxed out. You might, depending on your chip, if your temperatures are limiting you, it's going to be the cooler that's your limiting factor. If your temperatures are still pretty low, but you're not getting stable overclocks past 3.8, or maybe you have to push more voltage or whatever, it could be a motherboard issue. And B350s are going to be slightly less efficient when it comes to power delivery for high overclocks, right? So I would say it's more than likely your cooler. But you have a 1600, which is already a low TDP chip. It's not going to overclock much higher than 3.8 to begin with. I would be content with where you are. You're already fine there. I would be content with that. I actually have the same overclock on my 1600 just because it's a little cooler, it's a little more stable. Oh, okay. Scrolling to... What's up, Kryptonic HD? Everyone make sure to check out Vertigear for your sitting needs. Kryptonic, I'm going to make you a moderator. Kryptonic is he's a very cool dude. He's always hanging around. I like that. Alexander Padilla, do you get up and work normal hours, or do you get up whenever and go from there? I used to get up whenever. I really try to get up early because it's just I am so much more productive when I wake up early. But if I sleep in one day, like if I'm like, it's a Monday, I'm going to sleep in because I can do that, right? Because I work for myself. The rest of my day is crap because I woke up so late, and I just woke up so drowsy because it was such a slow morning. So if I wake up earlier, I feel like crap immediately, right? No one likes to wake up early, but I get more stuff done. And I'm trying to be better about that. I really am. Drew B, what's going on, my dude? Hey, Greg, man, can you answer my questions? Well, Drew B, it would be better if, let me see, I'm scrolling down here. Did you ask a question in the super chat? I don't see it. Oh, I see it now. I see it now. Have you studied music theory being a guitarist? I did a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I studied for, I would say, about 6 months, learned how to read music. I could pretty much read and play at the same time on guitar, but it was never, it never really took off for me just because I always played by ear. I could just hear a note and know exactly what the note was. I could hear a song, basically pick up the main notes, the rhythm, I would say within the first 2 or 3 minutes, just because I played so long. So that's how I did it. So I know a little music theory, but I just wasn't as passionate about the music theory side of things. Technosphere, whatever, $56 or 56. Is that Indian rupees or whatever? I don't know. Anyway, thank you for that. Check my question in chat. It doesn't fit $2,000 PC. What am I checking here? In what chat? I don't see your chat. You should have asked your question, Technosphere, in the super chat. If you did already, I'm sorry, but I don't see it in here. Nope. I don't see it. Okay, scrolling down. Wow, I was called cool by Greg. Time to clip this video forever. Kryptonic HD, I appreciate your help. Yeah, Ben B says, sleeping into whenever kills your motivation. It really does, guys. It really does. It's something you won't really realize until you work for yourself, and you kind of have to be self-motivated, and it's a really difficult thing to be when, you think to yourself, oh, I already have videos on the channel. They're kind of already making money for me, right? People are still viewing my videos, but that's really not true because the attrition rate on videos drops heavily after the first day. So unless the video goes viral or something, it's shared on a lot of forums, on Reddit and what have you, the videos usually stop making any substantial amount of money after the first 24 to 36 hours. So you have to be motivated. You have to be on your game, and you have to be able to make more videos every other day or so, at least, to keep a steady revenue stream. Because if you don't, let me tell you, you're not going to get enough views on the content you've already made. We have 500 videos in this channel. If I stopped making videos, my revenue would be cut 75%. And that's in the first week. And I know that because I've done it. Okay. Let's see here. Scrolling down to some more. What's your opinion on the GT 1030? Pretty much pointless at this point. If you want to get a 2400G, you're going to get similar performance there. Maybe even slightly better. I'm not sure. I don't remember if it's slightly better or worse. But the 2400G pretty much knocks out all cheap graphics cards, in my opinion. Smidget says, skip over me one more time, Greg. I swear, dude. Smidget, do you understand how many comments are showing up in the chat right now? You are not entitled to an answer. I'm trying my best, but I might not get to everybody. I hate to break it to you. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Hank Buckley asks, how are you doing tonight? My dude, I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. I appreciate that. How are you doing tonight? I appreciate you stopping by the live stream for sure. That's something that I know is no easy task on a Sunday night when you got work and whatever, school maybe the next day. I appreciate you guys doing this. Omar Zain, he asks, what are your favorite gaming peripherals, and also what is your PC running? Okay, I'm not sure if this headset's under NDA still. I'm gonna assume that it's not. But I want to give them a shout out because I wasn't the biggest fan of the Corsair Void Pros. The Void Pro was just a really loose fitting headset. I could never get it to sit firmly on my head. I didn't like the microphone, and the battery was okay. It was a wireless headset. I hated charging it. This one's the same way, I guess, in that sense. But that's something I can't fault this for, or the Void Pro for, because that's charged headsets in general, wireless ones. But these here, these are really nice, and these fit very snug. They don't look too bad. They've got this faux cloth cross-stitched leather, whatever this is up here, for the top of the head, and nice foam padding. Very comfortable headset, very conservative looking. I think it looks great in white, and I'm going to review it in a dedicated video. But this is something I really like here. And then I also have, I use Cooler Master keyboards. These are master keys. I'd have to double check. MK, no, I don't know for sure. I'm getting all my keyboards and mice names confused. They all use weird nomenclature. But I use Cooler Master keyboards on pretty much all my keyboards as of this point. And then I use either Cooler Master mice, or I'll use G-Skill mice. That's just what I've used for the longest time, so I'm kind of just content with that because I don't want to change it up. Changing mice is super weird. It's super weird. Okay, let's see here. I see a lot of these. If you spam the chat, you're going to get clicked with the S. So I see that spam. I see it. Mr. KF Gaming, thanks again for sponsoring. I'm sorry to see you go, but thanks for stopping by for sure. Playing game with your girlfriend, man. That's a sweet combo right there. It's awesome you got a girl who plays games with you. We all know YouTube can really swallow channels up and push them to the bottom. Both show. I appreciate that. Thank you again for your support. Okay, scrolling down a little more. Flyer SRR asked if you and your girlfriend are still together. I'm married to, I'm assuming, the same girl you're talking about, but we're married now. So, surprise. This is all stuff that we talk about on Twitter and Instagram. So if you don't follow us on social media, that would probably be why you don't know. So why haven't you given into a good lavalier microphone? I actually have, Kryptonic, I actually have a few lav mics. They're really cheap, like 20 bucks, and they're great. Lav mics really start to degrade in quality up to, or the law of diminishing returns applies to lavalier mics. I would say around 50 to 100 bucks. You can buy a $100 Shure lavalier mic. Shure makes excellent microphones. It's not going to sound much different than a $20 lav mic if it's made correctly. So I've never wanted to spend a ton of money on them. Okay, yeah, scrolling. I'm going to do a few more. My throat is shot, and I had to sprint over here. Someone said, "Wait, what's a girlfriend?" You guys are good. You guys are awesome. Okay, I see a couple super chats here. Let me get to these first. Let's see. No, Joe Keek Ali asks, Science, what's the hardest part of building a PC? That stupid rear I/O shield. That's the hardest part. Yeah, I said it. Post-Apocalyptic Peter, $5 super chat. Thank you, my dude. Yeah, saw your SSD keys video. Appreciate it, man. Thanks again for the awesome content. Might wait for RAM to drop. I'll let you know how it goes. For sure, my dude. That will be good to know. And yeah, let me know how the venture plays out. I'm curious to see how well you do there. I've given it some thought too, actually. It's a really fun hobby, but at the same time, you can turn it into a business, which is the best of both worlds. Sarav Kumar, Roy Chowdhury. Thank you for that 100 Indian rupee. Is it rupees? I don't remember. I get rupees, ruples. I get all those mixed up. But anyway, 100, whatever that is. Thank you for the super chat. Hey man, got my first PC. How can I show you my build? Your videos help me out a lot. I got the GTX 1070 Founders. Is that okay? Founders Edition is perfectly fine. Actually, it gets a pretty sweet overclocks with Founders Edition, despite being a blower style card. It's very well built. I love how heavy and sturdy it is. It's actually a really great card for what it is, coming direct from NVIDIA. So yeah, no problem there. It's not going to run too loud either, as I proved in my last video. So perfectly fine there. You can show me your build, by the way, if you follow me on Twitter. You can just tweet it at me. I check all my tweets basically every hour or so. So if I see it from you, I'll be sure to retweet it. Scrolling down to one more thing. John Deschamps, about to build my first PC. What's your most important tip? Most important tip? That's a tough question. Most important tip. There's a lot of little tiny things that you want to just watch out for. I would say just don't screw up your motherboard pins or your CPU pins, depending on if it's an LGA or PGA CPU or a socket. So don't mess that stuff up. So that's a pain to fix. Just be very careful when you set your CPU into the socket. You want to go in nice and slow. You guys know. All right. Scrolling up just a little bit more. Missed this one here. Jay Sonyas Bomansky. Thank you for that £5 donation, a super chat. Thank you, my dude. Do you invest in cryptocurrency? If so, why? If not, why? I do not touch cryptocurrency. I don't mine. I don't invest in it. I don't have any money tied into any kind of cryptocurrency because I think that it's just the most unregulated cesspool right now. I just find so many issues with it. It's so unstable. You can't predict it. You can't be confident in really anything unless you have inside information, which I guess isn't regulated by the SEC yet, but whatever, it eventually will be. That's what I mean, though. It's so unregulated. It's just a cesspool of crap, and I don't want to get into it because I feel like I would just over-speculate, make the wrong decision one day, and lose everything. I don't like those kinds of odds. Okay, Techie Pocket asks, when are you going to live with the yes man? Brian and I go way back. I'm just kidding. Brian's a really cool dude. I got a lot of respect for Brian, and he's an OBS kind of guy. Says straight up how he feels, and I like that. He's actually we're gonna try to hang out in Taiwan this year for Computex. We're gonna try to do a couple videos together. That'd be really cool to do some collabs with other tech tubers in person, right, instead of just on a live stream. So we'll see how that goes. But I really like Brian. Brian's a really cool guy. If you guys don't know Techie City, I don't know what rock you're living under, but you should definitely go check him out, and you won't regret that sub. Okay, Flyer SRR, yeah, he says YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Snapchat. I know, dude, I know, I'm sorry. We don't have Snapchat, by the way, unless you're a Patreon supporter or whatever. But yeah, I understand, there's a lot of outlets. Twitter is the best one, though. If you want to communicate with me personally, Twitter's the best way to do that, or Facebook Messenger. But Facebook Messenger is you might not get a response right away with that one because a lot of people message in that. Okay, a couple more questions here. Couple more questions. Daniel E. All good, my dude. No, I know you're not discouraging. It's all good. Okay. I see these questions here. Mary Ryan. Hi, Greg. How are you? I love your content. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm planning my first gaming PC build, 2560X. Or 2560 by 1440, 60 hertz with an i3 8350K and a 1070. Would I be able to drive AAA games? Your CPU is probably going to be the limiting factor, but it's an 8050K, right? The i3s, remember, from Coffee Lake's lineup have at least 4 cores, or not at least, they have 4 cores, unless I'm living under a rock. But I'm pretty sure that they now have 4 cores. So, seeing as though they have 4 cores, right? Last gen stuff, KB Lake stuff, i5s that had 4 cores, basically comparable to 8th gen i3s. Ran games perfectly fine in most cases. You're definitely gonna be limited more by your CPU, I would say, in the long run. But for now, it's fine. AAA games, I don't think you have a problem driving them. But again, your CPU will be the limiting factor, so that might be the first thing you upgrade if you decide to in the future. Okay, I'm Batman. That's his name, folks. Should I buy a GPU now or wait for the new ones that are rumored to come out soon? I don't know, Batman. Do you need one now or do you need one 2 months from now? Depends. I can't answer the question for you because I don't know how badly you need one. But if you need one now, just buy a used one now, I would say, or try to, refresh NVIDIA's website consistently until a graphics card shows back up in stock. But anyway, the Antho199 gotta go. It was fun hanging out. See ya. Thanks, my dude. It was again. I appreciate all you guys stopping by, even if it's just for a few seconds. It's awesome. Okay, Techie Pocket. Anyone ever get startled when Greg calls your name? TNT Thief says, I hit that red button and gave that gray bell a little tap. My dude, appreciate you. I appreciate that. Star Ninja LOL. Can a Corsair H100i V2 run an 8700K at 4.7 gig overclock at good temp? Depends on your on your specific chip. It should handle it fine. Those are pretty sweet AIOs from Corsair, but you might need a delid. And I don't recommend delidding unless you're super comfortable with it, but you might need to delid. So it really depends on the specific chip you have. Some i7s run super hot from that generation from the previous one because Intel puts the crappiest TIM in between the die and the IHS. Moving Frag. Thank you for that $10 super chat, my dude. First time water cooling. Is it easier to go with bending tubes or straight tubes in 90-degree adapters? Definitely easier with 90-degree adapters. I don't think it looks as good. There's not as much technique clearly involved with it, but you could pull off a straight tube custom loop with 90-degree bends. You can still make those look really good. So if you're a little on edge about it, like I just don't full on into hard tube bending, right? But that was really the only difficult part anyway. Like if I had gone with soft tube bending, like there's no challenge there. It's just getting your runs correct, but that takes no effort basically at all. Hard tubing is the real challenge. And even if you go with straight tubes in 90s, it's still a challenge because you got to line things up. You might have things still not line up horizontally or vertically with your case and the rest of your components. That's a pet peeve of mine. But if you're a little uncertain, you're a little on edge, straight tubes with 90s is fine. That's a good intro. Scrolling back up. TNT Thief. I literally just gave you got a shout out when I said your name. That's your shout out. I don't know what else. What do you want from me? Rusty Shackelford. What's the deal with the Vega cards still going for obscene prices? Are they still that good for cryptocurrency mining? The smaller currencies. Those are excellent cards for cryptocurrency mining, mainly because they have. Part of it has to do with the way that the software mines, right, and the resources they utilize. Not going into detail because frankly I haven't done enough research into that. I know that plays a role, but in general there are more stream processors in these things than the equivalent CUDA cores with similarly powered NVIDIA cards. So in general they're typically better. That's why the RX 480s and 580s sold out so quick when the mining craze hit an all-time high. Honestly, anyway, I wouldn't even consider Vega 56 or 64. I think they were flops for the most part. You can't find them. They're overpriced because they're not replenishing stock enough because then AMD quickly realized that these cards were going to have issues in the market. And they're decent for what they are, similar to 1070 and 1080 performance respectively between the 56 and the 64. But if you're going to go with something that high or that powerful, I would go with NVIDIA, at this point, until we get something that's just a bit more reliable from a market sense, from a price perspective, and frankly, that's just priced a little more aggressive. We expect a little more out of AMD on the value side of things, and I think Vega 56 and 64 were just priced a little too high to compete, at least compete directly with NVIDIA and AMD, or with NVIDIA, not AMD. Anyway, is it enough using Deepcool Captain 240EX for CPU overclocking, Alif? Yes, it is. I have a video specifically on the 240EX. You should watch it. Okay, Matt C. Hey Greg, most suitable AIO for my 4930K and a half X case. Thoughts, opinions? Ooh, Matt, that's a tough one. You could go with any. I would say for a 4930K, I would go with probably at least a 240 mil. That'll give you enough buffer room. That's what I would say. Okay, Ben B asks, what triggers you more, bad cable management or thermal paste application? I would say cable management, just because unless you have a really terrible case, like cable management is purely just an effort thing, right? You can fix your cables. if you really cared about your cables. And that's why sometimes I point it out on Craigslist reviews when I read Craigslist ads on videos. You know, if you're going to sell a PC for more than you paid for it, and you're going to be very blatant about the fact that you paid a certain amount, you're going to try to act like it's worth more, but it's really not, right? You're going to pass it off as a more expensive system. At least manage your cables in your freaking PC. Like, that takes no effort at all. It just shows that you didn't care about the build enough to make it look pretty. And that tells me something about the individual selling the PC, and I don't get a good impression from that. So I weigh it heavily because I just think, you know, it's like a clean room. It's like a clean house. If you walk into a house and somebody hoards trash and you can't even walk on the floor because there's just trash everywhere, do you really want to buy, you know, anything else from that person? I mean, really anything that sits in the house, or maybe even the car? Do you want to buy a car from somebody who has a really trashy house if they just don't care to keep up with things? I don't think so. So it's an impression I don't like. So yeah, good luck there, Matt. I see you. I see your comment again. Looking into that 240 mil AIO. I don't think that's a bad idea. I think you'll be happy with that. Uh-oh. Rusty says, oh boy, I'm glad Greg doesn't know about my cable management in the Mesh 5C. How can your cable management in the Mesh 5C be that bad, though? You just shove all the cables into that little left indented panel there, right? Beside the motherboard tray. That's why I like the Mesh 5C so much, because it's so easy to cable management anyway. Drago Fang 1060 says, gotta go. I appreciate you stopping by. We have just over 200 viewers watching right now. I'm sorry for those who just tuned in, but we're going to be wrapping this up very soon. My voice is shot. It is so, I'm just so thirsty. I should have brought water in here, but I rushed home and I immediately got on the PC. So dinner, even though it's 10:30, I'm going to have dinner and we'll drink some water to quench my thirst. All right, one more question. Let's see. If you guys got a good question, I'll give you a couple seconds here to listen to that, and I want to see your questions roll in. It's got to be good, all right? One more question. Nicholas Reef asks, how many people work at Science Studio? A couple people work part-time, but they're not, like, it's not an official thing. Will helps me a lot on the side. Will does a lot for us, and he'll be coming with us again to Computex. And then my wife, Lisa, I guess works with me. I mean, obviously, she has her own job right now, but she also works with me on the side, so I guess that's the third person in Science Studio. I see the questions rolling in. I see them. Give me the good stuff. Give me the good stuff. All right, I see it. I see it. Oh, yeah. These are looking good. Okay, here we go. D. David, real quick. You asked what the fastest FPS and I can see. I literally have a video on that, David. You should type it in. How many FPS can you see? Science Studio in the search bar, or the first video that comes up, I hope. There you go. Zombie Civies, Reddit or 4chan? My dude, what's going on, zombies? Just got a 1080 for 600 Merkin, good deal. It's not a great deal. It's more than MSRP, but with inflated prices, it's not too bad. I would say you probably could have found it a little cheaper somewhere else. But hey, at least you got a 1080 now, right? Flyer SR, good night. Congratulations with your marriage to Lisa. We appreciate that. Thank you. I know she would appreciate it as well. Okay, here's the last question. Angles711, you ask how I started building PCs. I have a video literally talking about that, actually multiple times, but you should go back and watch a couple of my, how I started my YouTube channel, how I financed my YouTube channel. I have those videos on the channel, you should watch them. Okay, whew. Grape. Let's answer Grape's question. Hey, I've been wondering if it is good to purchase for my first gaming PC that I put together an i5 7500, a GTX 1050 Ti, a 700 or 500 watt BQ power supply, a B250 motherboard, 8 gigs of RAM, and DDR4 2400. Depending on your budget, Grape, that's a tough question. It's a really tough question. It's a good starter build. The 1050 Ti is enough for some average 1080p gaming. The i5 7500 is enough for 1080p gaming, maybe a little more than that on the CPU side of things. But it's not a bad build. I would say the first thing you should probably upgrade is either your RAM or your graphics card, and then from there you might want to upgrade your platform in the future. So, thanks you guys for watching. I appreciate all of you stopping by to watch the live stream on this Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on where you live. We have these going live every Sunday night here or Monday morning, again, depending on where you live. We call these the After Hours live streams. This is the 11th one. If you guys want to sponsor us, you get added perks like you would in Twitch. You get the extra badges in the chat box. You get the badges in the comment section. You get access to a private Discord server. You get access to Snapchat. You get access to, what else? I'm trying to think of some other things you guys get. You get access to private live streams. I'll answer questions specifically from you guys and only you guys. So we'll have all that stuff. That's all rolling out now, so you should get it if you decide to sponsor. I appreciate it, even if you just consider it. Thank you guys for watching the live stream. We'll be back here next week at this time again. Science Studio out. That's probably like the dumbest outro, but anyway, I'll see you guys later.